Hashtag how to run for pole mark.
Lecture 6, March 2nd. The Odyssey of Odysseus. Homer's other epic poem, the Odyssey, written in the 8th century BC, describes Odysseus' return to Greece from Troy and the characters and situations he encountered. His Odyssey, which lasted 10 years, took him and his crew around what Homer envisioned as the Mediterranean world, and for lack of any other reference, the Odyssey's characters from gods to men were how the Greeks would come to envision the world. King of the second smallest island of the Ionian 7 after Paxi, the story of Odysseus begins with his participation in the Trojan War and ends 20 years later upon his return to Ithaca and him reclaiming his throne. The Iliad lasted 10 years and the Odyssey lasted 10, but in the Iliad we were on the offense, and in the Odyssey Odysseus and his crew were subject to Poseidon's mercy and introduced to places and people, demigods, and goddesses they may or may not have known about but would come to life in the epic poem. Written in dactylic hexameter, the Iliad and the Odyssey are perhaps among the oldest works in Western literature and the foundation of Western philosophy. Why? Well, because the fall of Troy is symbolic of the West's relative triumph over the East and used to promote Western philosophy over Eastern as the thread that connects Roman Catholicism with the politics of Constantinople. But what has this to do with our founders, Kappa men, and the future of Kappa Alpha Psi? The founders, Kappa men, and the future rests on the heights of victory in Kappa, our Iliad, and the adventures with others upon our return, our Odyssey. For our founders, their Iliad was acceptance in the military, while their Odyssey encompassed the activities and people they encountered in performing their duties. There is no doubt that the River Jordan divides business from pleasure, but their devotion to the new fraternity nor the call of duty by the nation was far from pleasure. With the same enthusiasm they had to form the fraternity we all love today, they took to the battlefield as Elder Watson Diggs lead them into World War I. It is no secret that in 1911 blacks' participation in matters of war in America was far from a reality, but proportionately many members of our fraternity would take leading position assisting the Triple Entente to victory. Never would we have been in those roles were it not for the intellectual stature proven in our ability to organize our efforts behind the Pole March. With order much more may be accomplished than through its opposite. Encountering French, German, Russian, Ottoman, British, Austrian, Serbian and others, the world they knew had become that much more expansive and even more so complex. The world when they returned home was ripe for growth and expansion where, when those interested in our training program presented themselves, we put forth the effort to welcome them. But the war put the fraternity on a national level where returning home was not the end of their Odyssey. Returning home they found much work to be done for the fraternity as the infancy of Elder Watson Diggs' dream would expand to encompass what we know today. We suppose our founders' Odyssey ended one day what back when, but every time we mention one, another or even the whole, we rekindle the flames of our fraternity as their efforts and dedication protects us to this day. For Kappa men our Iliad is the struggle and consequent victory in being a Kappa, and our Odyssey is to remain a Kappa amongst those who may not be so educated. Our purpose instills dignity while our objectives are the foundation of our integrity where without them we could be only dust in the wind. Anyone can behave like a Kappa, because all we require is the proper demeanor to set goals and accomplish them in the spirit of achievement. But what are we saying? People can, have and will achieve whether they are associated with our fraternity or not. We don't hold a monopoly on achievement, but we have a body celebrates accomplishments of members in the joy found in brotherhood. Many find their place championing achievement after achievement somewhere far from home, while others return to their communities to improve conditions through their achievement. But if our founders hadn't stopped achieving from our chapter Invisible, why would we think we should? For the future of the fraternity, the victory in becoming a Kappa may be diluted by individuals not associated with the bond. As new members, long for the and toil until we reach the golden shores, they have the potential to be whomever this world has in store for them to be, and we don't want to hinder that. But dealing with young men, it is a balancing act between persuasion and something just short of coercion, when we care about the legacy we leave behind for them to follow. All we can do is train young men as best as we may, but being human we are also fallible where, when translating our version of fraternity, those younger may find themselves lost in translation. As with any congregation, most listen as one speaks, but introduced to the fraternity through a chapter, new members have a plethora of local information that would be better if they knew. That should in no way supersede that of our greater bond. Armed with only faith in the Lord, our Orthodox Greek position, those on their ship and sands from near and far young brothers must sift through information given for pertinent facts and a more confident understanding of the bond. The victory in the Iliad and the adventure of the Odyssey are symbolized in our founders, Kappa men, and the future of those we train to, through and back to the bond. Though founding the fraternity seems a big enough accomplishment for most, Diggs' dream wouldn't be complete trapped in the boundaries of Indiana University. Shared now by men far and wide, the empirical extent of the fraternity's achievement may be better captured. Active participation where stories of brothers' achievement may be shared. The future is what we leave here as an example today, and new members keep our legacies alive. Who else will remember the 12 disciples of the diamond, or the 17 secrets of the scroll, except those who trained us, those we trained in history books seldom to be reopened?
That concludes the information for this time. Tune into our weekly presentations during this spring semester, Wednesdays from 9:11 a.m. to 10:05 as we learn how to run for pole mark.